This little device here is the best-selling action sports camera in the world, the GoPro Hero. What this teaches us entrepreneurs about ideas is the importance of not looking for gaps in the market. I'll tell you a little bit about the GoPro story in a minute, but the key point I want you to take away at this stage is the best ideas come from problems that you personally face in your daily life. Don't go out and do the business school thing about SWOT analysis or looking for gaps in a market. This doesn't produce the best ideas. The best ideas come from having a problem and finding a solution to that problem. Now, in the GoPro story, what's interesting about this story is just how well GoPro did, considering A, it wasn't a camera company, and B, it wasn't even an electronics company. GoPro was set up by an American entrepreneur called Nick Woodman. And actually, the story starts where he had left a dot-com failure back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and he wanted a bit of time out. So what he did was he went to Indonesia to surf with his buddies, because he was a keen surfer. So he went to Indonesia to surf with his buddies, went down to Bali surfing, and what was interesting is that he wasn't even thinking about a business at the stage. All he was thinking about was how to get away from his previous business. A bit of time out, decompress, maybe reflect on life and that kind of thing. And what happened is when he was surfing with his buddies, and this was in the early 2000s, they were having amazing time surfing in Bali, but one of the problems that they faced was, how do you share that experience with other people? There wasn't really anything on the market that enabled people to do that. They had very high-end professional cameras with all these sort of the rigging that goes with them. These were like in thousands and thousands of dollars that divers used or action sports photographers used. Or you had like simple cameras or simple video players which wouldn't survive in a surfing environment. So what happened is he started taking very basic cameras and building these plastic housings for them, and they would strap the original GoPros to their wrists, and this thing wouldn't work very well. But after a lot of testing and trial and error, they started developing a formula, and there was no thought at this stage that they wanted to build a company. Nick Woodman wasn't thinking about a company. All he was doing was trying to work out how to solve a problem that he and his surf buddies had, which was, how can you take camera, video and photos of their experience? If somebody had an amazing wipeout, how could you capture that? There was no possible way of doing it given the current solutions on the market. And what then happened when they came back from Bali, he started thinking about this as a product, as an idea which could turn into a business. So think about this in terms of what we talked about before, the why. Why him? Well, he was a fantastic, he was a fanatical surfer, and therefore he understood the pain and the pleasures of what surfers feel. So he understood that real frustration of having this amazing time and not being able to share this experience. Secondly, it was an itch of his own which he scratched, so scratch your own itch, which was a pain point that he felt as an entrepreneur, more so as a person first and then an entrepreneur. And then he could then take that and build a business out of it, because he really understood what people felt. So, and thirdly, it was something that he could be passionate about, because he was passionate about surfing. So when it came to it and he started developing the original GoPros, and he sent the designs off to China to get it made, he already had all of that baked into the product. The idea was easy to answer that question, why? Why him? Why was he the right person? It wasn't a forced idea that somebody else came to him and gave him, or something else that he saw and stole from somebody else. The key is to not look for gaps in the market, because if you look for gaps in the market, you're thinking about this as a business, about how to make money out of it, rather than how can you solve a problem that customers just like you have on a daily basis.